And now, without further delay, let's begin today's event, sponsored by Kofax and hosted by American Banker. It's my pleasure to introduce your moderator for today, and that is Michael Sisk. Mike, you have the floor.
Thanks very much, Greg, and I would like to welcome the audience once again. We are grateful that you've chosen to share some of your day with us. We know your time is valuable, and we'll honor that today with what I'm confident is going to be an engaging 60 minutes or so of discussion. Once again, our topic today is mortgage banking back office process optimization. And my name is Michael Sisk. I will be your moderator today. I've been a New York-based journalist covering business and financial markets for about 15 years, and I've had stints as the investor editor at Red Herring and editor-at-large at American Banker, and my articles have appeared in Barron's, Crain's New York Business, Institutional Investor, Strategy, Business, and Worth, and I've co-written and edited a couple of books. The most recent was Merge Ahead, Mastering the 5 Enduring Trends of Artful M&A. However, more importantly, I want to introduce our two excellent speakers today. The first is Chad Benedict. Chad is a strategic solutions architect for Kofax who is responsible for delivering enterprise customer solutions by adding a more consultative and strategic approach to working with the customer. He joined Kofax in August 2014 after spending 10 years at Citi as an enterprise content management manager, in the last 4 years as the ECM product manager, SVP for Citi Mortgage and Citibank divisions. Chad has 19 years of technology expertise, which includes 14 years of specialization in planning, designing, and implementing ECM technologies and Kofax solutions. We're very, very pleased and happy and honored to have Chad with us today. Also joining us is Stuart Hudis. Stuart is a senior sales engineer with Kofax, a role he has held since March 2013. Stuart has more than 20 years of experience in the content management industry and has extensive experience in the areas of document capture, transformation, business process management, and data integration. Before working with Kofax, Stuart spent 9 years as a senior solution engineer with Tibco Software, a company focused on data integration, event processing, and BPM. So also we are very honored to have Stuart with us today. And just before we jump into the content, I wanted to reiterate something that Greg said at the top of the hour. We do have a Q&A session at the end. Usually, we usually have 10 or 15 minutes for it. You can ask questions as they occur to you throughout the hour. You don't have to wait until the end. So please, as the spirit moves you, please share your question with us, and we will make every effort to get to it in the time allotted. If for some reason we run out of time, we don't get to your question, we will follow up afterwards. So your voice will be heard. Please ask anything you would like. And with that, I believe that kind of brings me to the end of my introductory words here. Let me turn things over to Chad. Chad, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Hi, my name's Chad Benedict. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. Those of you that are familiar with the loan originations mortgage cycle understand that this is a very complex process that's made up of many sub-processes or phases. It can range from customer needs to the loan application process to underwriting processing, all the way to the post-closing piece of the process. In some organizations, strategists and management are very focused on the front end of the process because this is where customer interaction occurs most frequently, and improvements to these processes can greatly improve an organization's speed to market. Because of this, I want to focus today on the post-closing piece of the process. Post-closing, in my experience, can become the last piece in the process that is reviewed by strategists to be able to find opportunities for process improvement. And I think this is a very strong area where we can provide improvement within the process. Over the past several years, the post-closing process has taken on new importance in the mortgage industry, particularly in light of the record foreclosure volume that we've experienced a few years back, the robo-signing scandal and subsequent regulations and scrutiny. Due in large part to these processing delays involving documentation, the recent historic foreclosure volumes expose great weaknesses within the loan document management procedures of many servicers. With requisite new policies and procedures in place, mortgage lenders And servicers are just now tackling this tremendous backlog of foreclosures and contested buybacks, which is guaranteeing continued scrutiny over their loan documentation processes. I pulled this quote from Michelle Rowley in the National Mortgage News, and I think she hits it right on the head with making her point here. I just want to read it real quick. She says the post-closing process now requires rigorous document management, auditing, and reporting capabilities to ensure that document management is complete and in compliance. And if a servicer's post-mortgage or post-close document environment lacks clear and consistent management, its team is spending time working with hundreds or thousands of jurisdictions and searching for files related documents instead of time on mission-critical responsibilities. Because of this is why I want to talk about this subject today. There's two key areas within the post-closing process that I want to focus on within this presentation, and that's on the document collection, the retrieval of those documents, and the tracking of them once the documents have been signed at the title company by the customer, and they're sent back to the lender for the post-closing data integrity and quality control audits that take place. Now, these two pieces are not all inclusive of mortgage back office processing. There could be assignment processes, lien release processes, etc. But these are two critical components that can be very manual and related to the processes. Once the documents come back from the title company, some organizations may still today even have a manual indexing and classification process related to identifying the individual documents within that loan file. There could be, depending on the type of loan, there could be 200 pages or it could be up to 300 pages within that loan file, and the documents need to be identified for the downstream post-closing processes, specifically around the document collection and the quality control. In some organizations I've seen, they may have been indexing documents into different buckets. Any documents related to a note may go into one bucket. Any documents related to a mortgage or appraisal may go into another document. And this can make it very difficult for the post-closers downstream to be able to find the individual documents that they're needing to be able to review. And this indexing process can be very time-consuming, and it's very critical that the imaging process around these documents is expedited in order for the business to be able to meet organizational SLAs. This next slide I want to show you is something I pulled from the quality controls review document that Freddie Mac put out in 2012. These are some best practices. And I'm just showing you these just to be able to show the amount of work that could take place. And this is just a sampling. I have two slides here that just samples what's in this 35-page document. It proves the importance that has to be placed around the post-closing process. Post-closers and quality control individuals have to check to make sure that the credit documentation exists, the asset documentation exists, that the loan application, the data on it matches the HUD, the data on the HUD matches the deed of trust, the deed of trust matches the note or the mortgage, etc. The other important piece here is making sure that all the right documents exist. So the notes and writers, security instruments, I think you get the point I'm trying to make here is that there's a lot of work that takes place during the quality control reviews and the data integrity checks that happen during the post-closing process. Once the documents have been received into whether it's your mailroom, your imaging center, and classified to the appropriate document types, and post-closers downstream are pulling up these individual doc types and comparing that information on certain documents to what's in the loan origination system. As you see here, I call this little guy Mo, short for mortgage. Mo is doing this stare and compare process that many organizations are having to do during post-closing, pulling up one doc, pulling up another doc, comparing the information across whether the borrower name and address matches or the property address matches between different documents or the finance amount matches. There's a very long list of data checks that goes on during this process. So what does this tell us? These challenges that we've briefly reviewed, around document collection, data quality checks, and quality control reviews tell us that there's a great opportunity here, and that's what I'm trying to really drive home. We have opportunities to improve our customer service, improve capacity, our quality, our security around documents, how we control those documents, and being able to meet our SLAs. We can reduce our processing times, reduce costs, reduce the amount of errors. There's opportunity for putting controls around not losing documents and the risk around those documents. However, just by having a more automated imaging process on the back end doesn't necessarily solve the post-closing challenges downstream, removing those stare and compares. What we want to be able to show you is that image-enabled workflow is not enough. Being able to just look at documents to do a business process is not enough. You need to be able to perform information transformation on those documents, be able to gather the data that's relevant on those docs to be able to drive downstream processes. And we can do this with Kofax solutions. With our Kofax solutions, we're able to provide a process management application that is capture aware, that also provides predictable dynamic workflows, can provide you the ability to capture documents from multiple channels, whether that's scan, fax, email, or even mobile, be able to provide document identification and data extraction, and also be able to track the metrics around the process and drive workforce management. These solutions can help you as an organization optimize your user experience within post-closing or any business process, reduce costs, optimize operational control, provide management visibility and oversight, and most importantly, assure compliance with the regulations and legal rules that are put in place on these mortgage processes. So the first key solution within this process, and I already talked about the manual indexing and separating documents into buckets. What we can do with Kofax Enterprise Solutions is be able to systemically identify these documents and provide more refined doc types. Instead of putting 25 documents in a note bucket because it's associated with a note, be able to identify an addendum to the note and allow the users to be able to go straight to the note addendum if they wanted to go to that document. Or in some cases, I've seen hundreds of documents being put into a miscellaneous bucket. And think about how long it may take for whether it's a loan processor, underwriter, or a post-closer to be able to find the exact document they're looking for. If they don't find it in, let's say, the HUD bucket or the mortgage bucket, they have to scroll through hundreds of pages within miscellaneous because somebody in the imaging center didn't know exactly where to put it. Well, what we're able to do is by identifying those documents, creating more refined doc types, and there could be up to 220 to 250 different doc types in a loan file that comes back from the title company. What we want to be able to do is identify those and then take the pertinent data off of those documents to be able to drive the downstream processes within your loan origination system or your other workflow management tools. And the next piece of the solution that's relevant to the business challenges I've been talking to is removing those stare and compares, being able to identify the data that's across the multiple documents and be able to present that to a user or to the post-closer before they have to do any manual checks of their own. Be able to take, let's say, the note and the mortgage or the note or mortgage and the deed of trust or the deed, and be able to compare that data and present it to the user so they can see what mismatches, where are exceptions, what was the data that were on these different types of documents. So your system workflows can make decisions before the user ever starts the post-closing process. And today, for the next part of this presentation, my colleague Stuart, who Michael mentioned earlier, is going to provide a live demonstration of a process we built for an assignment process. This demonstration is not all-inclusive of an assignment process because there's a lot of pieces that can go into this, but it will give you an idea of how you can reduce the amount of manual labor experience with the stare and compares across documents while performing quality data checks and the quality control reviews during the post-closing process.
Okay. Thanks, Chad. I just want to check first to make sure that everybody can see the Bankrite screen that I'm displaying. And
we are.
Okay, thank you. And just a reminder that if you need to maximize your screen, you can hover over the little triangle at the bottom of your screen and drag it, or even click on the Maximize button, which should be on the top right. All right, so to take over from Chad and what he was referring to in part of this post-closing process, what we've done is built a representation of a way that we can solve these problems, some of the problems around the stare and compare in the post-close. So to set the table for the demo, where we are is actually at the end in the post-close process where we actually have a loan that's been processed, and now we're looking at the post-closing tasks, in this case, the assignment review. So the loan has been processed, and you can see up here under the Bankrite logo that we already know who the customer is and the loan number, so we have a specific reference for this task. In the middle box, we have the post-closing tasks that this person will be responsible for. So I'm logged in, and you can see my name up here in the upper right in the blue banner. That's my name. So I'm logged in, and for this demonstration, I'm acting as kind of a super user. But normally this would be whoever is part of the mortgage post-close tasks. When they log in, based on their credentials, they would have a list of tasks that they would be responsible for performing, right? And those lists of tasks would be showing up here in the middle box. So as you can see, I have one task, which is in the post-closing process. And we can give things status updates. We can see the name of the activity that we need to do. Chad mentioned things around service level agreements or SLAs. And in this case, we can assign how long each task should be taken, how long it should take to perform them. We can assign a due date for those tasks. And of course, when those tasks or those due dates are not met, of course, things can be triggered, escalations, reassignment of work, and the like. We can also assign informational view to the user so that they can actually see more information about this task at a glance, right? So you can see kind of the loan number, who it's assigned to, the mortgage amount, things of that nature, right? And the reason you might want to do this is because if you have more than one activity, of course, you might want to be able to prioritize. So it could be prioritized based on the close date. It could be prioritized based on the loan amount or whatever is important to your business. Okay? So at this point, as I mentioned, you can see it's a more post-closing task, and it's in the assignment review. So basically, the loan has been processed, and what we have is a system of record. It could be your loan origination system, which has some information about this particular loan, right? And that data is already on record. And what we're doing and what we want to do is make sure that these post-closing documents match the existing loan and we want to make it easy for the user to do. So when I log in, what I would do here is I would click on the activity, the assignment review, and what that will do for me is it will automatically run a set of business rules based on the information that's already been processed, right? And how we've done this is we've broken it down so that it's very easy for the user to look at. We kind of want to think of it more like a TurboTax type application, right? So it would make it very easy for the processor to see what to do without any or very little training. We want to apply a lot of things like hover help. So as they hover over the different areas on the form, they're told exactly what that information is and what's required of them. And we just want to give them a set of buttons that kind of prompt them on what to do. All right? So in this case, what we have here is for this particular task, which is the assignment review task, the first document that's come up is the note. Okay, so these can come up in any order. The system will automatically keep track of those. Right? So this document set has been assigned to this Wilton case with this loan number. And what it's going to do is it's going to take and extract particular pieces of information off of this particular document type. In this case, it's the note. In this case, it's the note. Right? So we're looking at the first section of information that we're interested in. So in this case, it happens to be the loan number and whether or not it's an original or certified copy. All right? So what it does is it takes the document that's come in, it processes it, it looks at the value or pulls the value that we have on record, and it compares it to the value that was extracted off of this particular document, in this case the note. Now, if you look to the left here, what you can see that this is a 17-page document, right? It's got all the pages visible here in the viewer, but because in this case it's such a large document, it's not that easy for the user to maybe zoom in or find the particular sections on the document that have the information that we want to look for or that we want to compare. So the system automatically, as I mentioned, does it for you, and again, it breaks it down into 3 stages. So in this case, the value on record and the value that was extracted from the document were a match. So the system automatically indicates a match. The next one was whether it's original or certified copy. Well, there's not another one on record, but what we did do is we were able to find the certified stamp on the document. We've then populated the document value here that it is a certified copy, and it's a green indicator indicating that there's no issue, that we did find that stamp on the document. We also have these go-to-field indicators, which I'll show you in just a moment. But what this is if the information is buried deeper into the document, instead of scrolling through multiple pages, if you're interested in seeing the value, you can actually just click the Go to Field button, and it will quickly jump you to that area on the document where it found that value. Okay, and we'll show you that on the next page. All right, so in this case, you can see very quickly that it found the loan number. So we did a document level vetting, right? So the loan for this particular document is the same as the original. And we also validated that it's a certified copy. So in this point, all we have to do is click on Reviewed, which indicates to the system, to the audit trail, that we've looked at this and we've seen that the indicators have matched. When we click on Reviewed, what the system does then is it runs another set of business rules against the second set of data that we're interested in looking at. Right? We're still on the note, but now we're looking at actual document data for this particular document type that we're interested in. So again, things like, because it's a note, we're interested in things like the date on the note, the borrower, co-borrower, borrower address, and so on, right? Lender, mortgage amount. And these fields can be whatever, obviously, you're interested, and they can be different for each document type, which you'll see as we go forward. So in this case, once again, the user has the same document loaded. We're looking at the second set of values that we're interested in, and we can see in this case that the value on record, as well as the data that was extracted off the documents, in this case, have matched completely. Right? So there's really nothing more for me to do. But as I mentioned, if you just want to validate or check, you can click on something like the borrower or co-borrower as an example. And as I mentioned, what it'll do is it'll drop you right to that section on the document immediately, so that you can have your your check not only of the data, but as it was seen on the original document. So once we're done looking at this set of data, all they have to do is hit reviewed. And then what it does is it goes to the third and last section that we're interested in on this particular document. And for this document type, it will be the signatures. Okay. So again, we have the loan number match across the document, and then we can also see that the borrower, co-borrower, notary do not exist on the system of record. However, we did find them on this document, right? So they were matched, they were found, and so they're present. And so far for the note, everything seems to be fine. So then we just stamp it as reviewed, and now this document is finished, and we click Next, which will bring up the next document that came in. So again, the system will automatically keep track of the entire document set and move you through it automatically, right? There's nothing you need to know. The system will keep track and do it for you automatically. So as you can see while I was talking, it loaded up. In this case now, this is the actual assignment document. And once again, we're looking at three separate sections. We're going to do the document level vetting to make sure that the loan numbers match. We're going to check to see if it's an original or certified copy. Again, we were able to see that. Now, this is a single-page document, so it is easy for a user just to kind of flip down and look at the entire document at once. So in this case, we can just click Review and move forward. And again, what the system does is it runs its business rules, pulls the data from the system of record, and compares it to the extracted value, and then we'll present it back to the processor. Okay, so this is the second set of values we're interested in, and again, this is dynamic based on the document type. So this is the assignment document, so we'll have things in there such as the assigner name, assignee name, and maybe some other fields that you could be interested in as well. And once again, you can see that all the document values are matched, so far so good. Okay. So now it's taken us to the last section, and once again, we're looking at, in this case, the notary or assignee signatures. Once again, they are both present, and you could take a quick eyeball and see that they're there on the document. Again, it's a single-page document, so it's relatively easy. So that's good, and then again, we'll move to the next and last document in this set, which happens to be, in this case, the deed of trust. Okay? So again, the deed of trust, pulls it up. You can see the loan numbers match, and then again, we found that this is a certified copy. So that section's reviewed. Okay, the middle is the document data, and again, this is the date of the deed of trust in this case, and the other items that we're interested in. And again, once again, you can see that everything matches here. So this section is good. And then the last thing we'll look at is, again, the signatures on that document. Okay, and in this instance, as you can see, we did not find the signature for the borrower or co-borrower. So the system has automatically kicked out a red indicator telling me that they're not present, right? And again, this is a 12-page document, so sometimes again we want to make it quick for the user to find that signature, so they could just click the Go To button, and it would actually take them down to where the signature is. In this case, you can see that we found the area for the signature, but we did not detect the presence of the signature. In this case, it marked them as red, and that does two things. One, when it finds an error, when it goes through the next phase of this, it will automatically trigger an exception process, okay, which you'll see in just a moment. And it also, can track through auditing that it was viewed and that an error did occur on this. So you can figure out how you want to handle it later through the exception process. But at this point, the user just has to say, okay, I've reviewed it, I've looked, and I see that no signatures do exist, so I've completed my task, and I hit Next. Okay. Now, at this point, we're at the end of the N to N number of documents for this review. In this case, we had 3 documents. Could be more than that. But in this case, we're at the very end. We've done all the reviewing of all the documents, so now it automatically turns to complete. Now, when I hit complete, what this normally does is it would send this task to another person, kind of a maker-checker scenario, where one person does the initial review, and then it goes to a second person for a final review or a summary review. Right? Now, in this case, I happen to be assigned to both tasks, so that's why I automatically see it. Okay? So again, what you're seeing here is that we're in the summary of this particular assignment review, and you can see that because it found an error in this case, and of course these errors could be anywhere, but once it finds it, it'll automatically trigger an exception process. Now, how I've defined it here is that this particular user may have the ability to override this exception process. So if they make a determination after doing their review that this is something that can be handled or it's not an exception, we can choose to not trigger that process. But in this case, we'll leave it on. And what they can do now is they can take a look at the values that have already been stored in the loan origination system and compare them in just a visual representation to all the different documents. In this case, there were 3. Right? So we're looking at all the different documents. The green indicates match across all 3, and then you can see the red means that the borrower's signature on the deed did not match. So what we can do here is if the secondary person needs to actually eyeball the original document, they can just click on the red indicator, and what it will do is it will actually take them right back to that section on the original document so that they can see the actual document and see that the signatures exist or do not exist in this case. Right, so it's kind of gives them the ability to either have a quick summary, and if everything is on the happy path, boom, you just complete it. In this case, we had an exception. It allows us to go right back to the exception, go right back to the area, review it themselves, and you have a secondary set of eyes saying, yes, I looked at it as well. And then we'll just move back forward. So again, at this point, it will automatically trigger the exception process. I'll leave it on, and I'll hit complete. So what that does, and again, this would be assigned to anybody in the exception handling team, if you will, which I also happen to be a member of, which is why that task now shows up in my inbox. So again, now as an exception processor, I could look at this. I can pass in whatever information is pertinent. In this case, we just kept it very simple just for demonstration purposes. You could pass in the documents that didn't match, whatever you needed in order to resolve your exception. Right? Once the exception is resolved, and again, I just put a check mark there just to show you an indicator that we've looked at it. You then complete this task. And of course, that will then take it back, complete the process. It will do things, or it can do things like send out email notifications. In this case, because I did complete the process, we get a new email. The email is the assignment review completion for the particular loan number. I know that's hard to see. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, I know it's a little hard to see here, but this basically passes in whatever information you want regarding the assignment review. In this case, all the exceptions have been resolved, and so we're thanking the user. So again, we can send out triggering emails. And then lastly, what we can do is then look at some of the analytics. Back down. So then, as part of this process, we can look at the analytics for it, right? So I'll launch the dashboard, and then at this point, I'll kick it back to Chad, who will then take over and talk to you a little bit more about the analytics part of this.
Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate you walking us through that. The whole process that Stuart just walked us through, just keep in mind that was just a sampling of the functionality that our tool set can be able to provide an organization, be able to streamline those back office processes that require a lot of manual intervention the manual stare and compares across documents and the data quality checks. And because of these processes being so tightly regulated and from our federal government and SLAs are just as equally important, we need to be able to measure the metrics around those processes. Be able to provide process insight and workforce management. How long is it taking for a post-closer to perform their process? Are they meeting the SLAs? Is the imaging operations meeting the SLAs that are assigned to them to be able to get the loan files to the post-closers in time for the post-closers to be able to perform their tasks? And be able to understand the number of exceptions that may occur within a loan file, data that mismatches across documents. Our analytics tool set can provide the ability to your organization to be able to monitor the process and the exceptions. Well, we can, in another session, go into that a lot more detail, but I think it's very important if you're performing these back office processes, you need to be able to have a way to show the federal regulators and auditors that you are measuring the performance around these processes. And just to wrap up this presentation today, as organizations grow with Kofax software solutions, they increase their value of their investment. Our customers we've been working with directly are reducing their costs and focusing more on a strategic and long-term benefit, which may include optimizing the customer experience to gain competitive advantage and ultimately growing their businesses. Kofax helps with processes such as digitizing information for archives, compliance and information visibility, automating processes for speed and accuracy. We help organizations establish new levels of collaboration and even transform the very way in which companies engage with the customers. And if you partner with Kofax, our solutions will help you gain the competitive advantage I just talked about, be able to differentiate your organization from your competitors, to be able to better manage and grow your business, reduce the operating costs, remove these stare and compare processes, improve the data quality and control checks that we were showing you today, and as a result, accelerate the processing time. Be able to improve, meet those 30 to 45 closing time frames that customers want. They don't want to work with a mortgage company that draws out to 60 days to the time of closing and or after closing has to go back and sign new documents because there were errors on the documents where the data mismatched. And our company is not just focused on mortgage, and that's what we wanted to focus on today as this use case, but you can take these same examples that we're talking about and apply it to many different types of businesses, whether it's insurance or healthcare or transportation, and even within your own organization. Once you deploy our solutions, you can scale that across multiple lines of businesses. Whether you're an IT manager, a line of business executive, a C-level executive, if you partner with Kofax, we can help you deliver significant value to your organization. I appreciate your time today, and I'm going to turn it back over to Michael, who I believe is going to coordinate the question and answer section of this presentation.
Yep, that's exactly right, and thanks so much. That was wonderful information and demonstration, and we do have some time now for Q&A, so let's do that. Let me take a look here in our queue here. All right, I'm just going to toss out this question, and please, either one of you or both jump in and take it. Do you ever foresee there being a completely automated fulfillment process?
This is Chad. I'll take a stab at that, and I appreciate the question. That was was asked. I think, the regulations and compliance is so strict on these post-closing processes that I believe for quite some time mortgage companies are going to be required to have some human interaction with the post-closing process, be able to at least at the minimum confirm the information the system is providing is correct, even though a lot of the decisions are being made in the back end or can be made in the back end based on the data we are able to extract from the documents, that the person then still has to confirm it. Maybe someday, once regulators allow mortgage companies to go completely paperless, and what that would involve is the ability for a customer to electronically sign documents at the title company instead of physically sitting in the conference room and initial here, sign here, that kind of thing. I think if we can get to that point, eventually we could make a streamlined process all the way through with minimized user interaction, but I think a person may still have to confirm that. But it's really up to the regulators to make that decision when, what they will allow and what they won't allow.
Great.
Hope that answers that question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, good. We've got some nice number of questions flowing in here. Let me ask the next one. The demonstration appears to be an application that handles certain aspects of post-closing quality review. How customizable is the solution to adapt to the requirements of our post-closing QC process and integrating with our LOS?
I'll take the first stab at that, and this is Chad, and Stuart may want to add to that. Our solutions can either be all-encompassing of a mortgage process, or we can complement an existing workflow or an existing loan origination system to be able to plug in to that application to meet whatever is needed. If it's just identifying the documents and classifying them and extracting data, we could do that. Or if there's a certain function, let's say a lien release process doesn't work very well in the loan origination system, and it can be streamlined. We could just perform that process. So our application is very configurable to be able to perform, to fill in whatever gaps are needed, or to be able to provide a full encompassing solution.
Right. I'd like to just add a little bit to that. This is Stuart. So really, the platform that we're talking about here is really completely configurable, kind of like a box of Legos. There's a ton of capabilities, starting from the omni-channel capture, right? Chad mentioned earlier, right? So we can work with mobile devices as input, or fax, or even input from things like loan origination systems as well. So we can start from anywhere, and we can manage any end-to-end process, or fill the white space kind of around existing processes where there are gaps, as Chad was mentioning. So what I showed you was a demonstration of some of the capabilities. It's not really an out-of-the-box solution, right? So you can take it and add on to it, subtract from it, modify it, configure it, and it's a codeless type environment. So it's it's fairly easy to configure, very easy to extend and modify and use to solve your own business problems. Right, and we also have, as part of this, as I started to mention earlier, not only can we capture from any channel, we can process. We have a dynamic case management solution as part of this platform. We have the analytics part that you saw. There's also an integration layer, right? So we integrate to, right now we've done at least several integrations, one to an Encompass 360 loan origination system, one to, I forget what the other one was, I can't think of the name right now. I'm drawing a blank. But and we can do it in several different methods, right? So it depends on the system that you want to talk to. We have several different methods or approaches to do integration, but it's all part of the same platform.
And this is Chad. Encompass is an application, more loan origination system application that a lot of our customers are using, and we're currently integrating with that application as well, whether it's just making the data available, being able to extract the data, identify the documents, make it available for, let's say, Encompass or any homegrown application, or be able to, with web services, since our application is completely thin client and web-based, be able to be an extension of the LOS or workflow that's already existing.
Great. Thank you both.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Your next question. What does it take, time-wise, to set up the program for each document, to recognize the document and fields needed from it? How much time for ongoing setup of documents not originally set up?
I'll start, Chad, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
That's generally a little bit tricky question to answer because it really depends on the document type and how many fields you're interested in and so on, right? So there may be some upfront time, more or less, depending on the document type, the number of fields you're interested in, also how complex the documents are. But that really is a question around our transformation capability, and we do have a very extensive capability in that regard, right? And our solution works slightly differently, or a little bit differently to probably what a lot of you are familiar with, in that we don't necessarily use templates or zones or business rules. We have more of a learning approach to our document and classification and extraction capabilities. So in some instances, I'll say it can happen very quickly, depending if it's a fairly simple document. In some instances, it may take a little bit longer to set up, again, depending on how complex you need to get. However, the downside or the good side to this is the system will continuously learn and improve. So we use document samples to help train the system. And if we have a decent set of examples of those documents, we can actually train it to be fairly accurate literally from day one, or very accurate literally from day one. So, if it's a very complex document with many fields, it may take a little bit longer. And by that, I mean a couple of days versus a week or a month. And then, like I said, the ongoing maintenance and additional docs are much easier and quicker because we continuously learn as we see more examples of those documents.
Great.
I think Stuart pretty much nailed that one on the head.
Something more needs to be said. Awesome. Let's see here. I think that we have just about gotten to the end of the questions in the queue. So a really great set of questions there. Thank you very much to the audience. I want to express how much we appreciate that sort of those sorts of questions and engagement. So thank you. We're a little bit before the top of the hour, but as we said, we like to respect everyone's time, and to the extent that we can bring things in on or ahead of schedule, I think that's always good for everyone's schedules. So let me thank Chad and Stuart both for your time today. As I mentioned before, great information, great demonstration, and obviously great questions, which is a sure sign that it's resonating with the audience. So, and thanks, of course, to the audience. You make it all worthwhile. Of course, we would not want to do it without you, so thanks for being here. Everyone with us today will be sending you an email with a link to the presentation sometime, I think, within the next 24 to 48 hours. So, please keep an eye out for that and take another look at this at your leisure in the future. We really encourage you to do that. And with that, I will wrap it up. Wish everyone a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope you'll join us again here very soon. Thanks so much.